Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to another exciting edition of Hilaal Live. My name is Lukman Shadrack, all the way from the Cape Town studios. Thanks for joining us on channel 347. You can also live stream on www.hilal.tv. As we do on a Wednesday, we invite our spiritual guru, for lack of a better words, into studio to give us much needed advice around our lifestyle as Muslims, but more importantly, how it affects certain issues, challenges that we have in our life, if not dealt with properly. In studio is Fadwa Booley. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Shukran so much for coming through as well. We've done a wonderful soul series over the last couple of weeks, and one of the questions that came through on our WhatsApp line, and we're going to open up the WhatsApp line today as well. If you'd like to engage with us, dear listener, on 079 085 2511, you're welcome to send us a WhatsApp, and we'll ask Fadwa to respond on that as well. One of the WhatsApps that's come through over the last couple of weeks was how childhood addiction, or the lack of childhood treatment when having an addiction, could lead and maybe affect your adulthood as well. Parents don't always realize that some of the actions may have a serious impact on how that child grows up and how it affects their adulthood as well. And by not engaging with them at a very young age, that could lead to untreated trauma.
Yes.
Chat to us a little bit about that.
Okay, so what I've discovered and doing research on this topic when I studied addiction and researched immensely, and I came across Dr. Gabo Mate, right? He's a physician in Canada.
Okay.
Love this man to bits. And his reasoning was quite good. He's an addict himself, and what he said was abandonment that we feel as children, as babies, when parents don't necessarily coddle us or pick us up and hold us close. Sometimes we go through that abandonment, because when you look at it, kids and babies are, when the mother's pregnant, in the womb for up to 9 months. And all they know is the mother's energy and the mother's love and that closeness. So now when they're born, I just heard yesterday, a friend of mine was telling me that the pediatrician was saying that when it comes to bath time, feed time, and all that stuff, put the baby down and just let the baby sleep. And if the baby cry, just don't make eye contact, just tap and leave the baby in the dark room.
Okay.
Right. So Dr. Gabo Mate was saying that this shouldn't be done, because what the baby will experience at the time is a rejection and abandonment. And I also agree with that, because when I look at if I look at myself and my kids, the older people, the older generation are saying, put down your child, don't spoil the child, don't get the child used to the arm. But then if the child naturally detached from the parent, which usually happens from 6 months old, right, then the child becomes more secure. So in my case, I went on Hajj, and my baby was 5.5 months old at the time. So she didn't reach a 6-month mark. And she has separation anxiety.
Right.
And I can understand that, because I went on Hajj, away for 5 weeks, and she was still a baby. When I left, I was breastfeeding her on the way to the airport. And then it made sense when I listened to Dr. Gabo, and then he was saying this, and I said, that's why Imra, my daughter, is so attached to me, and she has this anxiety. So then he was also explaining that when the mother is stressed out, and the cortisol hormone, and how, like we spoke about last week, and then he said in some cases later on in life, this causes addiction in adults. And I could actually really understand that, because now they're needing that closeness, and the mother's not maybe available. And this is not for the mothers to feel guilty, and this is what I also tell clients when we do cover this as a topic. It's not for you to become guilty, you feel guilty about it, because as a parent, you did the best that you could with the information that you know.
Of course.
Any new mother, I now say, cuddle that child, walk around with that child tied to your chest, let that child feel your closeness, and let that child become secure, so it naturally detaches from you.
Right.
So when a child is cuddled by the mother, they become such confident adults, like such confident children, such confident adults. And I've seen this as a pattern with clients, with family members, with my own kids, right? When they naturally detach from the mother.
A lot of research is going around how fathers could get more actively involved at the infant stage as well, because now you have fathers that can take paternal leave and be part of that process. We have some people who have hybrid working from home type of thing, and they could also be part of that process. Do you find that that also adds to the stability of the child?
Yes, it does, because like, I mean, look at a premature child. They put the kangaroo care with the dad also, and then the
Yes.
child become attached to the dad.
Mm.
Because the smell of the skin, it's the contact, it's the safety that the child is feeling, the baby's feeling, and they grow up really to be secure children, you
Brilliant.
know?
We also often hear of moms going through postnatal
Yes.
depression, for example, and that could obviously allow and affect the way a mother then handles or sees to her infant. That must be quite a stressful time for new moms to go through something like that.
Yes, I remember I had baby blues. I don't think I had postnatal,
Okay,
but it's like I couldn't understand why. I just didn't want to be around my child.
right.
I was crying most of the time, and my cousin warned me. She said, "Watch out for baby blues." I didn't know what it meant, and then it was like I was asking myself, "Why did I have?" You know, the questions that you have. And when I read later on in parenting books, I said, I was feeling the same way. The woman said, like, the baby was crying so much she couldn't deal. Because I was in the shower, I would hear my baby crying. My baby would be fast asleep, but you hear the baby crying all the time. And there was a time where my son was crying so much that I just felt like I wanted to just run away. I couldn't, you know.
Yeah.
So it's the hormone changes, obviously.
Right.
It's the newness of being the mother, of not knowing what to do. Because we're in hospital. The nurses take care of the child.
Right.
So they give you that sleeping tablet, and the child goes to the nursery and you get to sleep. And the first night I brought my eldest son home, I didn't know what to do with him.
Of
I was
course.
actually panicking. I couldn't sleep. It was like, what time is he going to wake up and what's going to happen now? And there's no nurse to assist me. So I actually panicked. So when you're in that space, and it depends on your environment as well. Some, in most cultures, they go home to their mothers for the
Right.
40 days, and the mothers take care, and then there is care. In other cases, there isn't such support.
Yeah.
So in Morocco, there is a space where they take such care of you that they come and massage you and rub your feet. They like really treat you like a princess, and I think that is like a nice thing to go through,
course.
because you know, you come out of hospital, you're uncertain, you're this new mother, new baby. The baby doesn't come with a manual.
Of course.
You can't just pull out the batteries and the child is crying and say, okay, you go rest. It's like this live little Tamagotchi that you've got, and you have to feed it all the time
Of course.
and have to see to it.
Yeah.
So in some cases, the parents can't cope. The mothers can't cope. It depends on their life that they're living.
Yeah.
It depends on the environment. It depends on their work. And it also infiltrates. And like I said, it's no fault of anyone.
Sure.
It's just about finding that coping mechanism and being that support. Because when you're a new mother, you need that support. You need somebody to say, it's okay, you're doing an okay job, or you're doing the best job that you can, or you're doing a great job. You just want to hear that, you know?
These days as well, and often enough, you often hear this, that sometimes too much information may just, you know, it's the straw that breaks the camel's back sometimes. It's in terms of oversharing and researching too much. I do understand, you know, parents are very uncertain when it's a firstborn, or even the secondborn. But every child comes with this, you know, with various challenges. But oversharing and over-researching may also be such a negative impact on that process.
I would tell all the mothers, throw away those parenting books. Seriously.
Yeah.
Because why? You've got an innate intelligence, right? You know your baby better than anybody else, even the doctors.
Absolutely.
Because you instinctively know. You share that child shared blood with you for the last 9 months of your life. Now your intuition kicks in, right? And you should trust that intuition. Now you read the parenting books, you're more stressed out. All the parenting books are not the same.
Of course.
Right. It's all just written by point of view. Your point of view, your value system is written from that point of view. So you're going to get some writers and authors that is going to say, sleep train your child. You're going to get some that's going to say, coddle your child. It's going to say, hand the child over to someone else. It's all going to be different. You need to trust yourself and know what's best for your child. Absolutely. Each child is also different.
Yeah, and that connection between mom and child is so amazing as well. You know, don't worry, I'm not getting broody. It's just the point of identifying and seeing moms with children these days. It's just so amazing. I mean, we're based in a school, and we often see this interaction and how wonderful that relationship is. And I was chatting to someone the other day as well. They were saying, you know, when there's food at home and if that mom makes the food, it's a total different feeling than when dad or anyone else makes the food.
That's
it's that
true.
mom nurturing their family and ensuring that, they have a decent meal.
Yes. I put in my daughter's lunch the other day and she said, Mom, did you put in my lunch? Because I could taste. I said, why did you taste it? She said, I could taste it was different. How she tasted it, only Allah knows that.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's the energy that goes in it. It's the way we parent our children. The way you raise your kids, I always say this, and the way your parents raise, and that's why Imam Ali says that you raise your child in this generation, not the way you were raised. And I understand it now, because if I see my parents around my own children, and then they will say, why are you doing it like that?
Correct.
But this generation is completely different to when I was, when I was younger. And then you look at all the information out there. I'm talking about Instagram, Facebook, all the social media.
The internet.
Right. It's information overload. It's making people crazy, right? It's making people depressed. It's making you feel like you're inadequate.
It's a point of view that is generalized.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
And then you feel like you're inadequate. Now you come,
Correct.
and I had a client in my room the other day, and then I told her, you're looking at someone online, right? This was yesterday, mind you. I said, looking at somebody online. She said, all she want to do is be perfect. I said, there is no such thing as perfection.
Absolutely.
All you need to be is authentic.
I think we put too much pressure on ourselves as well, sometimes as well. We're going to pick up this conversation after the break. You're welcome to WhatsApp us and let us know your thoughts on today's topic. Be part of the conversation and let us know some of your experiences. And if you were faced with these challenges, let us know how you handled them as well. You are still watching Hilaal Live. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Hilaal Live. Thanks for watching us and being part of the program. You're more than welcome to WhatsApp us. Unfortunately, no telephone calls or only WhatsApp messages 079085 2511. We chatted about childhood trauma and how that could possibly lead to issues in our adulthood as well. In studio, Fadwa Booley, giving us much needed advice. Fadwa, thanks once again for coming in.
Welcome.
So part of when a child has been reared as well, as you said earlier, when a child is born, moms tend to go home to their moms, and or mother-in-laws for that matter, to assist with the child, because look, it's a very intense progression on how they raise the child. But it's mom's just given birth, they're tired as well, so they need family to assist. However, family at some times can get overly invested in that process. Do you find some of your clients chat to you about that? And what is the advice you would give them?
Yes, I had a client last week tell me that the mother-in-law would come in, let's say visitors downstairs, they live upstairs and downstairs, and then she wouldn't let the visitor come into her bedroom. She'd take the baby down out in the cold, in the draft, and then the child was crying. They just bring up this crying child. They take the child out of the cot,
right? And
then the child would be crying, and then they just dump in the mother's lap, and then I would say, now where's your boundaries, right? Now, when you're a newly wedded person and new mother, it's very hard to have boundaries because you're so worried that they're not going to love and accept you.
Of course.
And then you go with their flow. But in the cases of parenting, I would say put down your boundaries when it comes to your own child, because when you stress, that baby's going to be stressed.
Absolutely.
Right? And I told this client of mine, put down your foot, put down your boundary, and say, rather let the visitors come see the child in your bedroom where it's warm and cozy and the child is in his environment, than to take the child out and now the child is feeling, I'm away from my mom. It's like a newborn baby,
of course,
and they can smell their mother. So that's just advice I gave, put down your boundary, because it is tough.
And babies at that age are so susceptible to picking up viruses as well. Somebody may come in with a virus and then just pass that on to the baby, and the immune systems are still developing at that age as well. So that's another challenge.
And I'll also say, tell people not to kiss your baby. It's so cute to look at a baby, you want to smell them and kiss them and bottle that smell. But I say, don't allow them to kiss your child, because you never know what type of germs they're carrying.
Absolutely. It is the season of flu and all of that's been passed around as well. Another, concern is medical advice. Now, often enough, people, babies are born premature, and then you often, take them to a pediatrician, or as they're growing up as well. And medical advice sometimes may not be the best advice for your child, but you then go to a medical specialist thinking that is the best advice for my child. How do we handle situations like that? Because that can be tricky.
I would say stay off from Dr. Google.
Right.
Right, because
First step.
you'll end up with the diagnosis that it's not even
Because a
pertaining
child
to
may
you.
present with
Yes.
a specific type of illness, or and Google may just give you 10 different reasons, but not necessarily that.
And then you lay awake whole night and you're
Yeah.
worrying and you can't get hold of anybody because it's 3 o'clock in the morning and ask me, I know I've Googled some stuff.
Right.
But stay away from Dr. Google, first of all.
Mhm.
And if it's really, with babies, it's so tricky because sometimes it's just not even anything.
Mm.
But the first child, I always laugh. I tell the new moms, the first child, you're going to jump for everything.
Correct.
The second child, you're more lenient. The third child, you just let the child cry.
Sure.
So I experienced that with my own children because the first child, you're so scared you're
Right.
doing something wrong.
Yes.
And,
You second guess yourself.
you second guess yourself, you don't know. And then you could take the child to the pediatrician or just wait it out. Unless it's a fever, unless a child is really crying nonstop, then you would. But otherwise, like I always tell the mother, when the child is crying and the child is uncomfortable, just put the child on your chest.
Right.
Just close. You'll see how the child calm down, but you also need to calm down. Because sometimes you think, my supper must get done and, I need to do this, I need to do that. Now the child feels your anxiety. Once you feel your anxiety, the child will also present anxiety.
Of course. Yeah. Obviously, we started with childhood addiction and then leading up to possible issues that you could face in your adulthood as well. Now, have you encountered some of your clients that have had this issue? And viewers, you could join us, 079 085 2511 on the WhatsApp line, and let us know your thoughts about today's topic. What advice do you give someone that is already in this position, that has maybe encountering and trying to deal with abandonment?
It must self-parent.
Okay.
It's known as parenting yourself. You treat yourself as though how you would have liked your parent to have treated you.
Okay.
Right. So it's a self-parenting technique, especially when there's a mother wound or father wound online, right?
Okay.
So it's about you giving yourself that love and nurturing that you had longed for as a child.
Okay. All right. So give us an example. Someone is not coping at work. They're finding that their childhood trauma has now progressed into their adulthood, and they're just not coping.
Yes.
How do they get back?
So it's definitely the forgiveness side, because now it's about, my mom wasn't there for me. My mom had more time for my one sibling that was the needy child,
Right.
and the aggressive child maybe, or the attention seekers. I don't believe in attention seeking. It's about they just need that connection, right? So some people say, oh, she's such an attention seeker. It's not attention seeking, right? So I would say, how would you have loved your mother to be with you at that time?
Because ultimately it can affect their relationship with their children.
Yes.
If not treated.
Yes. And the spouse as well.
As well, correct. Yeah.
So just give yourself that love. So now I said, how do you love yourself? It's about that little bits of time.
Okay.
So let's say you were the eldest child and you never got that opportunity to be a child, because now you have to look after your younger siblings.
Gotcha, yeah.
So what I did was, I did a task with in one of the workshops where I said, if you see a park, pull the car over to the curb or park and go play in the park for 10 to 20 minutes. Go on the sliding board, go on the swing, go play in the park. Be a child for that moment. Because what you're doing is you're actually listening to your inner child. That inner child could be angry with you. That inner child could be sad and lonely. Now you're taking that inner child by the hand. My client told me the other day that she took her inner child, a 5-year-old child, for ice cream. And when I did a session with her, she said, no, my inner child is actually feeling happy, because when I took her and I did a regression treatment on her and she went back to 5 years old, I said, what is the facial expression? She said, she's smiling at me because I took her for ice cream the other day. So your inner child is going to set off your tone and your emotional tone with everybody. So if your inner child is happy, you're going to genuinely be happy with others. If your inner child is lonely, you're going to attract the loneliness, because that needs to heal up.
Right.
Right? It's the healing that we need. So when you're reparenting yourself, it's about connecting with yourself on levels like, for instance, the beach. If you like to play at the beach when you were younger, go to the beach, go play, go make sandcastles. Be that child for that moment and take yourself back there, because then you will start feeling you're giving yourself that nurturing that you're actually longing for.
Okay, valuable advice. What happens then as a parent who finds that this has affected them as a parent to pass that love and affection on to their children? How would you allow them to deal with that situation?
I would say definitely look at a therapist, go speak it out. Because if you're trying, there's certain times you're going to have to speak to someone so that they can give you a different viewpoint and perspective, right? And once you start healing, you're going to see you will naturally start loving your kids.
Okay.
It will naturally be there because those wounds are going to be healed. If the wounds are there, you're going to treat others from a wounded space.
Of course.
Hurt people hurt people. Have you heard that saying?
I have heard that saying, yes.
You know? So when you are hurt, you spread that hurt. The more you heal, the more you spread the healing and the love. Because we're on this earth for what reason? To love and to heal. That's the reason why we're here, is to love and to heal, right? And get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the more we're going to heal the stuff, the more we're going to have no separation between us and Allah, because the hurt also causes that separation and that barrier between our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
I think that's also a very important point, is to bring ourselves back to the teachings that we find in the Quran.
Yes.
And maybe get spiritual advice with regards to some of our challenges. I know often you refer your clients to take that step back and be more spiritual. That always helps.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you see, the more spiritual you become, the more in touch you become with yourself, the more in touch you become with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you'll see that naturally the Quran flows in your home. How the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam dealt with his children, you will start seeking that advice of the sunnahs and bring that into your home. And that's what I always try and do, you know.
Often enough, you also have workshops coming up. Is there one coming up soon?
Yes, there'll be one on the 27th. I'm running a pensioners campaign, so I've reduced the prices for all the pensioners.
Oh, lovely,
right?
lovely.
And those who are not pensioners, I'm also granting it to them because it's going to be weekday workshops.
Okay.
Somebody has been asking, please do weekday workshops. I can't manage on a Sunday. It's family day. And I said, yes, I'll do it Wednesday mornings. Okay. So they'll be able to find it on social media. I'll post it on my WhatsApp as well. So it will be workshop 1 because we're starting again workshop 1.
Okay.
And that's all about getting to know yourself. And I'll show you techniques of how to communicate direct with your soul, muscle testing, all kinesiology techniques, and you'll have some fun because it's going to be artwork and that type of thing, and you're going to be engaging with people of your tribe and your vibe and your tribe.
Are people, and what do you tell your clients when they're coming to these type of workshops? Because I would imagine that you would find that there would be a certain amount of resistance sometimes to people wanting to open up, or is it a gradual process? A
gradual process, but most of the people that attend the workshops, they actually want to be there.
Nice.
Because they are ready for that healing and that step and that evolve, just getting evolved in the type of place they want to be, where they want to be in life, right?
Right.
So it's all about just awareness, and it's about upliftment and getting to really know yourself.
Okay, that's workshop 1, and then workshop 2.
Workshop 2 is all about loving yourself. So that's all about boundaries and how to deal with stuff. So we do a lot of forgiveness and, getting rid of your guilt and your shame, and then moving on and not allowing people to trample all over you. So I give tools of how to deal with difficult people, the critiques of life, right?
Great. How do people get hold of you once again?
On Instagram, fadwa.mobiletherapies. And on Facebook is Fadwa Booley.
Okay. Jazakallah once again. All the very best. We look forward to next week's edition, inshallah. Have a great evening. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
And that's how we end our soul series with Fadwa Booley. You can get on all the good social media if you'd like to be part of any of her workshops. We break for Maghrib Salah, and then we have our religious program afterwards that will take you until the rest of the evening. From all of us in Cape Town, Sohail Barnes and myself, Luqman Shadrack, have a great evening. Assalamu alaikum.